Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here for the first time, welcome for the first time. In today's video, I want to discuss the idea of glowing up and some of the habits that go along with that. I do want to do a more in-depth video about glowing up later down the track, but for now, I just want to touch briefly on it. So what does glowing up mean to me? So that is glowing up with an L, not growing up, glowing up. Although the two do go in hand, I feel. So for me, glowing up is this idea. It's to do with um, someone. It's like the ugly duckling story, right? Someone who maybe isn't very good looking, who um, who goes through a journey, for lack of expression. Um, someone who who implements a series of habits, going from the ugly ducking, the ugly duckling into a beautiful swan. So it's like a transformation process. So for me, I'm in my mid 20s, right? So um, I feel like the whole glowing up thing seems to be aimed at people who are a lot younger than I am, like late teens, early 20s. People who people who like me were not particularly um, attractive in high school, not very good looking teenagers, and we're trying to turn into attractive adults. So I think the whole glow up thing, just from my perspective, it is aimed at a younger audience, but I still think it can apply to people who are a little bit older. I was not very good looking as a teenager. I think I've made some slight improvements. I do think I'm a lot better. I'm not. I don't claim to be like a supermodel by any means, but I do think I have improved since high school. I think I've matured a lot in some aspects. Um, I do feel like like I'm getting good haircut, like getting better haircuts. Um, I'm looking after my skin more. My grooming is a lot more on point than it was when I was a teenager. Like I was really, it wasn't nice. It wasn't nice in high school, but I've made some improvements. However, I still believe I've got a long way to go. Um, in order to reach I've still got a long way to go. But I also think this idea of glowing up, although we associate that term with physical attractiveness, it also has to do with like finances, relationships, and just sort of, I guess, a general adulting. Um, so, but I also think that in order to have your glow up, you can't just, you can't just sort of wait around to become more beautiful. You have to actually implement some you have to actually implement some habits. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first habit is waking up early. So obviously this is not always possible to do, especially if you're someone who works very late. That's not going to really be an option for you. But if for me, I'm currently in a position where I can wake up reasonably early. So I normally get up around 6 o'clock, maybe a little bit earlier than that. I'll be honest, a lot of the times I will sleep in for about 10 or 15 minutes past my alarm. I set the snooze. Get out of bed very begrudgingly and put it on snooze for 10 or 15 minutes. And also, I think it has an alarm that goes off in like 10 to 15 minutes anyway. So I'm I need to stop that. That's a bad habit. Yeah, I do have trouble getting up in the morning, which brings me to habit number two, going to bed early. I think it's a lot of people talk about you need to wake up at 5:30 or 5 o'clock or whatever, but a lot of people don't really talk about the fact that if you're going to get up early, you need to go to bed early because you need to be getting, or as people say, 7 or 8 hours. It changes, but it changes for different people. But from what I've heard, and it also depends on your age, but um, for an adult, it's normally about 7 or 8 hours, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but that's sort of the general like a third of your day is spent sleeping. So yeah, but a lot of people don't talk about how like in order to wake up early, like 5:30 or whatever, you need to you need to go to bed early. And the other thing you need to consider is that you also need to. It depends. Again, it's different for everyone. But for me personally, it takes me a while to get to sleep. So not only do you have to go to sleep early, you also have to go to bed early because it might take it might take a while to get off. Oh, that sounds wrong. It might take a while to fall asleep. So for me, for example, my bedtime would be my aim would be to go to bed before 10 p.m. But I do. It takes me a really long time to get to sleep, or not really to get to sleep, but it takes me a really long time to get to bed because it, I tend to procrastinate in the evenings and the nighttime. So it does actually get, and well, I procrastinate all day if I'm being honest, but that's another video for another time. But I pretend to procrastinate a lot, so it does take me a while to actually get to bed. So so my I as I said, I normally get to I normally get to sleep. I normally go to bed around sometime between 10 and 11. I do actually want to get to bed a little bit earlier than that, so before 10 o'clock, between 9:30 and 10 is I think is a good spot. So 9:30 is like that does for a lot of people 9:30 p.m. is still like very early to go to bed. But for a lot of other people it'll be it's standard or even a little bit late. So yeah. I don't know. For me, I always had it like 10 p.m. Going to bed at 10 p.m. was always very standard for me. So like going to bed at like 9:30, and I suppose it's the same with waking up. Like if you're someone who normally wakes up at like 7 o'clock, that it's gonna be very difficult to wake up at like 5:30, even though that's like 90 minutes. Even though that doesn't really seem like that much time, it is difficult to wake up a lot earlier than what like the default position is. The default time to get up is. Habit number three is posture. So my posture, I don't have the best posture. It's okay, but sometimes when I'm sometimes when I'm sitting at a computer, I tend to do this. I tend to bend my back a lot, and obviously that's going to have long term impacts on my back. Um, it's just I find it difficult. I don't have a really good. I don't really, for me personally, yeah, I tend to like bend over, especially when I'm eating food. I tend to like go like that on the table, or if I'm looking at phones like this. Like phones are a big problem for a lot of people. People do that, and also you have nerd's neck. So what I've been doing lately is that I've just been standing over there on that wall behind me, and I'm leaning against it, standing straight. I will be honest, I haven't been very I've only done it a few times. I've only started, and I haven't been very consistent with it. So I want to do it like every morning. Just what I want to do every morning when I wake up, or maybe a little bit after. I want to stand against the wall. I want to stand straight against the wall, um, and just stand there for a few minutes, like with my back against the wall, just to make sure I'm standing straight. Habit number four: taking a cold shower. So there are a number of benefits to taking a cold shower. I can't really remember the benefits. I guess some of the more practical benefits is that you do save money on gas or electricity, whatever you save money on hot water because obviously it takes. I think it's in my house it's gas, but you do save money on certain bills if you switch to cold water. The other benefits is when you take a hot shower and your mirror gets all foggy. That doesn't happen with cold showers because you're not getting the steam. Um, so those are some of like the more practical benefits. I know there's a lot of health benefits to taking a cold shower. Um, you don't really feel claggy, for lack of a better word. When you take a hot shower and you feel a bit claggy afterwards. That's not really a nice word, claggy, is it? But that's the only word I can think of. Also, cold showers they wake you up. Because with hot showers you get a bit too relaxed and you stay in there for longer. It also saves water because um, obviously you don't want it if the water's cold. You don't want to be in there for too long. I will say that, admittedly, it is easier to do in the summertime, and I also think that if once you start doing it for a while, you will get used to it. I'm pretty used to it now. I also think it's because we're current here in Australia. We're currently in the summertime, so it's a lot easier for a cold shower. But it does get difficult in wintertime. But I will say that in the summer, certainly after a run in Certainly after a run or it's just a very hot day, a cold shower is actually very welcoming. Habit number 4 is working out. So my ideal workout schedule is gym is Monday to Friday, and on the weekends I take the weekends off, but I still go running in the mornings. That is my ideal fitness schedule. But in reality, it's probably I probably miss at least one day of the gym during Monday to Friday, simply because sometimes I'm too lazy or I sleep in, which is laziness. Um, so yeah, I haven't been very consistent in and on the weekends, obviously sometimes I like to sleep in rather than go for a run. That's not good because um obviously I want to get that sleep. That goes going back to habit number 1 and 2, but I because I sleep in, I miss out on going for my morning. I mean, I can go. I mean, sometimes if I don't do a morning run, then I'll go in the afternoon. I know it it depends what's happening on. If I have something scheduled on that day, obviously my time my time is tight. But if my day is a little bit more free up, if my day is a little bit more free, then obviously I can be a bit more flexible and go for a run later. But I want to go for same with the gym. Like I want to go at a certain time in the morning. Yeah, so I haven't really been very consistent at my workouts, but going forward, I really want to change that. I want to be doing a little bit of exercise each day. Um, I feel like it's you need to be like I think it's much better to do a little bit of exercise like every day rather than do like 2 or 3 hours or 5 hours like hours and hours of working out in a single day. But then like you don't do anything for like 1 or 2 weeks. For me, yeah, I think it's just better for me to do a little bit of exercise every day. It's just little things that make all the difference. But in order to have a good workout, you also need to have a good diet, which brings us to number 6. Habit number 6, eating well. Habit number 6 is eating well. So I need to make sure that I'm eating um, the appropriate macros. So I used to be obsessed with like counting calories and counting macros, but I don't do it anymore. I do have my Fitness Pal app, but I don't log it because people say, oh, when you're on a diet, like if you're bulking or cutting or whatever it is, that you need to be tracking it in My Fitness Pal or whatever. For me, it's just I haven't gone back into. I used to do it all the time. I used to be obsessed with it, with like putting all the information in. But now I get to lunchtime or I'll get to 3 o'clock and I've already eaten quite a bit and I don't want to really remember. I don't want to really want to put in all the things I've eaten that day. It just takes too long and then I have to remember. And sometimes the fitness calculator can't find like the app can't find what you're eating, and like that's especially true like if you buy things from like cafes and stuff. But I normally don't do that. I normally most of the food I consume, I buy from the grocery store, and then I use the food from the grocery store to make more food to cook meals. Obviously, that was a bit of a roundabout way of saying cooking my own meals. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, most of the food I consume is from the grocery store. I don't really buy things from restaurants and cafes. I or like you know what I mean. I don't really do that much. I try to eat clean. That's a really a weird phrase, clean eating. A friend of mine once asked me, "Are you clean? Are you eating clean?" And I said, "Yes, of course I eat clean. I always spray detergent on my donuts before I eat them." I do think it's important to eat clean, eat eating veg. Make sure I'm eating a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruit. Make sure I'm getting enough protein, but also make sure I'm getting enough fats and carbohydrates. Because at the moment, I'm currently bulking, which is like a very gym bro word to use, but I'm currently bulking at the moment. My goal is I want to put on 1 kilo each month. I think that's pretty attainable. Um, Unfortunately, As I've been, even though I haven't been tracking my macros and stuff, which I should probably start doing, um, I have been measuring myself on the scales, but unfortunately, I have been losing weight rather than gaining weight. Or the plus side of that is that I haven't really put on much body fat. Well, not really, actually, I've been losing a bit of body fat since I started my bulk, so that's the positive thing. But the negative thing is I haven't really gained any muscle, which I suppose I've only been doing. I've only been bulking for a few weeks now, so I can't really expect too much. Just while we're on the subject of clean eating, I also want to discuss the idea of hydration. So that brings us to habit number 7, which is hydrating. I think it's very important to drink a lot of water. I've got my water bottle here. I think it's very important. So what I do every morning, I always try to drink a glass of water or a cup of water, just to make sure I have a bit of water in my system. And I also try to make sure I'm drinking throughout the day. Very important. I think that doesn't really need much of an explanation, does it? No. Because I also think that water can act as a replacement for other things. I'll give you an example. The other night, it's because I will be honest, I do tend to have like a bit of like eat a lot of ice cream during the summer, just because I get I like to have ice cream because it's very hot, and I like to have ice cream as dessert in the summer. Um, Obviously, as we move into autumn, I tend to stop that. But I do eat a lot of ice cream in the summer. That's a lot of sugar, and a lot of not the best if you're trying to be fit. So what I did was right after my dinner, because eating dinner is like a trigger, like finishing dinner is like a trigger to have dessert. So instead of having dessert, I consumed I drank some water, and I drank a few cups of water, and I was very full, and I didn't really want to eat anything else. So I think water can actually be a very good replacement for for things that are maybe not as good as water, such as ice cream. Even though ice cream tastes a lot nicer than water, although I actually like the taste of water, depending on the water. So I think water is a really good substitute for like things. Um, so especially when you're because sometimes when you think you're hungry, you're actually thirsty. So it's sometimes you gotta. This is a mental trick you gotta do when you're if you're ever hungry, you gotta self whenever you wanna feel the need to eat something, you gotta ask yourself, am I hungry or am I thirsty? Am I actually dehydrated? Is that why I want to eat something? Am I actually dehydrated? Because you might actually be now. Obviously, that's not always going to be the case. Sometimes you do actually need to eat something, not just drink water, obviously. But I think water can be a good replacement. Or is that even? Should we even? Is it even a replacement? Have we? I think water is the thing that got replaced, and I think we need to reverse that. Habit number 8 and last habit in this video is talking to people. This year, I want to make an effort to try and talk to more people. I'm always being very shy, very socially anxious, very reclusive. This year, I want to change that. I think I'm always going to be like a homebound sort of person. Like I prefer to, do things at home. I like to stay in at night. Like on Friday or Saturday night, I'm going to be here. I'm not going to be like out clubbing. I'm way past the club, even though like I'm still sort of relatively young. I'm way past the clubbing phase. Like if I never had to club again, that would make me happy. Usually, I'm very introverted. I'm definitely not extroverted. I like to stay indoors. I like staying indoors. I don't need to go out clubbing. I don't really go to pubs. I don't really go anywhere like that. But I do want to like change. I do want to like change. Um, I do want to increase like social interactions just by like I want to start talking to people because I've always sort of been like it's very difficult to make friends, especially difficult to like find dates. So yeah, I just want to talk to more people, build up my confidence, be a little bit more social. As I said, I'm always going to be someone who's a little bit reclusive, a little bit homebody. But I do want to get myself. I do want to put myself out there a bit this year. So those are all the habits that I wanted to cover in this video. Obviously, there's a lot more habits when it comes to glowing up. I did not talk about the financial aspects of glowing up, but I do, as I said at the beginning of the video, I do want to do a video on. I do want to do a more in-depth video about the concept of glowing up. This was just a bit of a touch base sort of video about glowing up and also the habits that I've been implementing into my life for self-improvement and glowing up. If you have been implementing of these habits into your life, please let me know. But if you've also got any habits that I didn't mention in this video, also please let me know in the comment section below. That is all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next video.